16th, 2024, regular city council meeting. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. City Clerk Deaton, let the roll call show everyone is present. And we'll move along to approval of the minutes for the April 22nd, 2024 City Council meeting. Councilmember Kivel.
I'll move the minutes.
I'll support.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Moving along to approval of the bills for this evening. Councilmember Mosier.
I'll move the bills as presented.
Yeah,
I'll second.
thank you. A motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Moving along to approval of the agenda for this evening's meeting. Councilmember Dilk.
I'll move the agenda as presented.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Moving on to the consent agenda for this evening. And on tonight's consent agenda, we have a Cultural Arts Commission appointment of Joseph Matuzik, the South Lyon Early Childhood Center gaming license, and the Gun Violence Awareness Proclamation. Councilmember Kurtzwell.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move the consent agenda as presented by the mayor.
I'll support.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Moving on to public comment for this evening. Public's invited to speak at the podium. Remember the 2-minute time limit, and present your name and your address if you would.
I'll just hold it like this. Hello, Council. Ryan Cottingham, which is at Brewing Company, 601 South Lafayette. I had emailed Mayor Kennedy earlier requesting a couple extra minutes, and he denied that request, so I'm going to try to go swiftly here. I'm not here to convince you all that not mowing grass will save the bees, because it won't. It's not about the grass. What No Mow May does do is bring awareness and education to our community and allows individuals to make an impact with trying to save our pollinators. Today, we noticed at least 3 different native wildflowers and 2 baby bunnies appear in our unmowed grass. These flowers were not there last week. It took them the better half of the month of May to flower. If we would have mowed, these ever so important native wildflowers would not be. No, this alone will not save the bees, but it helps. We personally are able to help on our own property. Today, we had many people from our community, some we knew and some we didn't know before, one of them a council member, join us and help us convert our grass to a pollinator-friendly perennial garden. Our community came together and put their hands in the earth to make a difference. They did this because they too are passionate about saving our pollinators. This idea came to us from a comment on our post from a member of our community who we did not know. They mentioned the idea of a common ground garden because whether you support No Mow May or not, the thing that we all seem to support is putting in pollinator-friendly perennial gardens. This is why we are participating in No Mow May, not to save the grasses, but to spread awareness of the dangers of losing our pollinators and to do everything we can to help this cause. Once again, it's not about the grass, but doing what we can to help, to spread awareness of this issue, to bring the community together to help, to educate our community on what to do to help. For example, what are invasive plants in our community, and to do what we feel is the right thing to do on the property that we own. If we are not able to use what we have for good, then what can we even do? I am here today to request that Council bring No Mow May back to a vote, to revisit the conversation, and I ask that you please consider all the positives that I've just mentioned and not think of the grass and its length or what it looks like. I think we can all come to a common ground and agree that we need to do something, and I hope you see our presence here today as something important happening, even if it seems as small as not mowing for a month. I also want to mention the Westlake development real quick as well. I hope that you all stand by your comments and actions from previous.
Mr. Cotton Jim.
All right, thank you.
As I discussed in my email, we do have a second session if you'd like to use it.
Erin Cottingham's 601 South Lafayette. We've been before you several times speaking up on behalf of the wetland conservation in our community. We learned from the environmental study that the Westlake development paid for that South Lyon doesn't have any ordinances protecting wetlands. That's missing. I hope you put your energy towards putting into place some ordinances that protect our wetlands. The time is now. Your opportunity to make a long-lasting positive change for our city is right now. I hope you continue to vote to conserve these wetlands tonight and beyond. Next, I have to talk about No Mow May. I'm concerned that our city is so motivated to squash the No Mow May movement in our community, so worried about how things look more than the health of our pollinators. Spraying chemicals that we know cause cancer is okay, but not mowing for 1 month isn't? This is very backwards in South Lyon. I understand that No Mow May is forward-thinking. It's new and it means change, and change is uncomfortable. But if we don't make changes when they need to be made, how do we progress? As I understand it, council decided to do nothing after a lengthy conversation about No Mow May last year. But the actions of the city this year are to aggressively cite and fine anyone that will participate in this global movement, a movement that is well known, with good purpose, and allowed by many of our neighboring cities. Is that what you want to do? Hurt a local business for wanting to participate in No Mow May? Fine your residents, your fellow neighbors who are trying to help pollinators only in the month of May? Meanwhile, other ordinances go uncited and unenforced. We are here today to ask that you reconsider a moratorium for the month of May or make changes to the ordinance to allow for participation in No Mow May. We hope you bring this to a vote ASAP. In this case, no action is action. You're taking a stance against No Mow May if you allow the city to aggressively fine tax-paying residents and businesses that just want to participate. I feel like we have to get the word out about our pollinators, and the city is working hard, spending our tax dollars trying to silence us and other tax-paying residents. I want to speak freely about this issue, and the way that you're enforcing this old, outdated ordinance is taking away my freedom to speak about this issue.
Suzanne Martin, 602 West Lake Street. I learned about No Mow May from Aaron and Ryan Cottingham at the Witch's Hat Brewing Company and did some research. Honeybees pollinate 80% of flowering plants and 130 varieties of fruits and vegetables. The honeybee's survival is necessary to our lives. There are fewer honeybees on the planet due to loss of habitat, pesticides, disease, and competition. Honeybees are an important part of humans' food chain, so much so that farmers and food companies rent honeybees to pollinate their crops. Honeybees feed on the plant's pollen and nectar, and in turn can pollinate up to 5,000 blooms per day. No Mow May is for allowing flowers to bloom in late winter, early spring, due to the limited flower bloom availability in our part of the country. Having a lower amount of flower blossoms, thus less pollen and nectar, leads to a shorter honeybee lifespan and less pollination, which leads to less food production. We need to recognize the efforts of the Cottinghams and the city of South Lyon, both for being environmentally discerning. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Sarah Wagner, 601 South Lafayette. I did want to mention about the No Mow May. I wanted to support it mainly because of, I know that that's a small effort that we can do that can protect the biodiversity of our whole community with how many subdivisions we have now and how many encroaching developments we have now. I think it's really going to I think it's really going to limit our biodiversity, not just pollinators, but any other wildlife and ecological things around the area. And I've been here long enough where I remember when we were more of an agricultural area and not so many subdivisions. I really missed that. It seemed like people had more connection to the land. People seem to have more connection to the community. So I think that No Mow May is sparking that conversation to bring back that kind of community feeling and love of the community. So that's what I have to say.
Thank you.
My name's Kim Lindstrom, and I'm here to support Aaron and Ryan. 1158 Chestnut Lane, sorry, I forgot. I really appreciate all the facts that these people have brought to my attention. I don't know all the facts and details, but what I do know as a long-time resident of South Lyon that is given back to the community, as well as Aaron and Ryan, 20 times fold. I mean, I just find it offensive that you're not even considering it, that you're taking this off the table. I'm not offended by it. I'm not offended by Norm's cars in his lot. I'm not offended by driving down 10 Mile and seeing things that are probably more offensive than the tall grass at Witch's Hat. I just feel like you need to listen and at least put it to a vote. Listen to these people. I mean, these are important issues. Like I said, I don't know the details. I participated also, but to my dismay, my husband mowed this weekend because he caved to our homeowners association. Also, the fees that you guys are imposing on them is just outrageous. This couple brings so much to South Lyon. Not only their kindness to all the charities and just bringing in business and people to our city. I mean, they chose to leave their business here when they could have gone elsewhere. So I just hope that you really consider it and give it a chance. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll close public comment, and we'll move on to a discussion of downtown with DDA Director Nate Mack.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, council. I'll start with a brief farmers market update. May 4th was the first day of the farmers market. That was the opening day for the market season. We had 71 vendors present for that day, and that's notable because that's the greatest number of vendors that we've ever had at the farmers market. The rest of the market season is going to be averaging around 60 to 65 vendors, and the food truck rally will be taking place on June 1st. A quick update on Ladies Night Out. We were able to raise $727 and 538 pounds of canned goods for Active Faith. So that was a great turnout for them, and we had a pretty good turnout of shoppers downtown as well. I just want to give a brief shout out to our sponsors for the event, the Learning Experience, Lyon Counseling Center, General Family Dentistry, and Brostrom Physical Therapy. And then finally, last week, we received an update on the electric vehicle charging stations from the contractor that we've been working with. They met with DTE at each of the sites and provided some feedback on all 5 of the locations that we've selected. A couple of them are not suitable right now for EV charging, but we're going to be working with a state electric company in DTE to try to find a suitable location. So with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions if anybody has any.
Any questions for DDA Director Mack? Councilmember Dilk.
Thank you. Just a couple things. I just some feedback. When I was at the farmer's market, I usually go on, talk to the vendors, see how things are going for them and things like that. And a couple of them just had some concerns about the indoor market from before, just that there weren't a lot of people. So I just wanted to give you that feedback and just say, maybe we can, do some better, different marketing, not better necessarily, next time. And hopefully they'll come back because, I hope that continues. And then I saw that you guys voted on the bike racks, and I just wondered if we had any kind of timing or anything like that.
So I am putting together the locations for where they'll be. They'll be in the downtown area, 6 of them. At the next board meeting, the board is going to approve the locations and the bike racks, and then hoping to use Superb Fabricating to get the bike racks made in town. So I don't know what the turnaround is going to be. We're looking at probably installing 6 throughout the downtown. They could be different sizes, whether it's the inverted U or like the longer, racks that can hold 6, 7, 8 bikes, something like that. So there'll be different locations and different sizes throughout the downtown.
Can you order them before you have this meeting to approve the locations, just to speed things up?
I don't know if I can or not. I'll have to look back at the minutes and see what exactly my direction was from the board.
Okay. And then the last thing is just, I'm sure it's on all of our minds. We just, unfortunately have a decent amount of vacancies in stores and places right now. And I just wondered if you had any updates on some of them. The one, obviously on the corner that I ask about often, would be helpful. And I know we have Coral Sash, Lefties, Lake Street. So it's just concerning that we have quite a few.
Yeah, there's been a decent amount of interest in the Coral Sash building. The one on the corner, the old Draft Street building, 101 South Lafayette, they're still doing work on the inside. I went by there last week and looked. I mean, there's still a lot of work to go on the inside of that building. They're looking at doing an urgent care in the smaller portion, what used to be the grocery section. The Lake Street Tavern building, they're doing some renovations in there. That's going to be the brunch place that Tom Palusio's Daughters is going to run. They're looking to do a redevelopment liquor license, which hopefully will be coming before council at the next meeting. If we can get everything from Oakland County and all that stuff put together, that should be in front of you for them and for the old Third Monk location as well.
Oh, great. I forgot about that
Yeah.
one too. Thank you. That's all.
Anything else? So Nate, the DDA liquor license requires the business to be open for 10 hours a day. Is that going to impact the business model for the breakfast and brunch place?
I have mentioned that to them, and they don't seem to be too worried about it, so
Okay.
I don't think so, but, I mean, the state law is.
They're
what
aware of
is,
it, so I
yep.
mean, that's all that counts, so. Okay, very good. Thank you very much.
Yep, you're welcome.
Move on to the fire chief report, and now tonight we've got Fire Marshal Mr. Moynihan.
Good evening, council. To date, we are currently at 421 calls for service. Since the last council meeting, I've done 5 plan reviews, and I have 5 more sitting on my desk. I just want to also bring up our open house. It's this Saturday from 11 to 3. There's been some cancellations, so it looks like we will have our burn trailer now. We are looking for furniture. We found the chairs and couches that we need. We're still looking for coffee tables. So if you know anybody, let us know. What else? We're going to have the smokehouse there. We're also going to have our vehicles set up, the police F-150 and the fire truck, the fire F-150. We're collecting cans for Active Faith to donate, so please help spread the word. Bring your non-perishables for donation. And that's all I have.
Any questions for Fire Marshal Moynihan? Councilmember Dill.
I just missed what you said. What are you looking for?
The cans, non-perishables, right?
No, I'm sorry. Was it something that you needed for the burn?
Yeah, coffee tables.
Oh, I think I have some.
We're looking for 2.
Okay, thank you.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Move on to the police report. Tonight we've got Lieutenant Cedarlin.
Good evening. A few things to report. This Wednesday, our CPA, the Citizen Police Academy, that's going to be the final day of the graduation for all the attendees. I believe there's 18 from South Lyon, Wolverine Lake, Wixom, and Novi. Cadet Angela Bay, she's in the police academy currently. She's due to graduate the 23rd of this month and to be sworn in on the 24th as a police officer. The citywide garage sale went off without a problem. And also ladies' night had a great turnout, no problems there as well. As Brad said, the open house is this Saturday. We expect a great turnout. Last year was a phenomenal turnout, more than we expected. And we're doing the can drive for the non-perishables, as he had mentioned. This Wednesday is the first, the Lake Street Cruising is on May 22nd. That'll be the first one. The starting time for that is at 6:30 and runs till 9:30. And I don't know if Chief Bakke had mentioned, we have to get new in-car computers, the MDCs, because the current ones we have will not support Windows 11. So we bought one with this year's budget, and we're going to order 5 more on next year's budget. That's all I have.
Any questions for Lieutenant Cedarlin? Councilmember Hanson.
Well, I was just curious if the chief was able to meet with some of the residents that had some concerns about the Great Lakes cruise-in, if they had been able to, be reassured that, there would be, that their concerns would be met.
Not to my knowledge, but I'll check with them first thing tomorrow.
Thank you, Lieutenant.
Thank you.
Have a good night. We'll now open the public hearing to discuss the 2024-2025 budget, and we will open the discussion at 7:50. Anybody wishing to discuss the 2024 to 2025 budget, please approach the microphone, state your name and address. Seeing none, we will close the public hearing at 7:51, and we'll move on to unfinished business, with the first being the second reading of the amendment of an ordinance pertaining to the city council meeting time.
At our city council meeting on April 22nd, we held the first reading to change our city council meeting time from 7:30 PM to 6:30 PM. In order to make this change, we must amend the current ordinance pertaining to city council meeting times. The proposed ordinance amendment amends Chapter 2, Article 2, Section 231, council meetings to change city council meeting time. This time would become effective July 1st, 2024. We've attached a proposed ordinance amendment showing those changes, and the possible courses of action tonight are approve or not approve the second reading of the proposed ordinance to amend Chapter 2, Article 2, Section 231. Be happy to answer any questions that any of you may have.
Councilmember Bogert.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the second reading of the ordinance to amend Chapter 2, Article 2, Section 2-31, council meetings to change the city council meeting from 7:30 PM to 6:30 PM.
I'll second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion?
I would just indicate for the benefit of the public, the effective date of the ordinance.
Okay, the effective date is going to be the first meeting in July, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, first meeting in July, whatever date that actually is. Okay, City Clerk Deaton, if you'll lead us in a roll call vote?
Moser,
Yes.
Bogert,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Kurzweil,
Yes.
Bilg,
Yes.
Dibble,
No.
Kennedy.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to unfinished business number 2, Westlake Development, first reading.
Good evening. This is a revised request for the conditional rezoning of the property. The City Council has seen multiple iterations of this plan, and there's been ongoing discussion about the location of the entrance drive off of 10 Mile and the associated wetland impacts as well as traffic safety impacts. The council passed the first reading of the conditional rezoning ordinance in February and requested wetland impact information of the proposed drive location. The applicant provided a wetland impact study and additional traffic information at the March 11th council meeting. The city council made a motion to approve the second reading of the rezoning ordinance, and that motion failed. The applicant has since made modifications to the plan and has submitted a revised request for the rezoning and preliminary site plan. The revised request includes a modified design of the entrance drive to further minimize impacts to the wetlands. Proposed is an arched bridge design that drastically reduces the amount of wetland fill required compared to the previous plan. For reference, the previous design required about 3,300 square feet of impact and fill, and the modified design brings the total impact down to about 2,700 square feet, but the actual amount of wetland fill is 365 square feet, and those are the posts of the bridge structure. Details of this plan have been provided with your packets and will be up on the screen with the applicant's presentation. In addition, they are proposing to eliminate the boulevard to make the drive as narrow as possible, to shift the entrance west to minimize the crossing space, and also to eliminate the previously proposed boardwalk along 10 Mile, which was originally going through the wetlands. Eliminating the boardwalk eliminates an additional 1,300 square feet of impact to the wetlands that was previously proposed. On the modified plan, they are still maintaining pedestrian circulation, just with no impact to the wetlands. They also have provided an updated wetland impact statement from the wetland consultant, which notes the reduced impact. As noted, this is a first reading of the rezoning ordinance. There are two separate motions that require action. The first is for the first reading of the conditional rezoning ordinance. The second is for the preliminary site plan that's associated with the rezoning. The applicant team is here tonight. I believe they have some slides to present and to go further into detail on the design modifications. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have for me.
City Attorney Hamami, do we need to have a motion and a second to bring it up to discussion before they can make their presentation?
It's not a public hearing today, so.
Right.
No, we can have the presentation.
Okay. Would you like to make the presentation now?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. For the record, Bob Langen. I'm a principal of Elevate Land Holdings. My address is 128 North Center Street, Northville, Michigan. And thank you for allowing us the opportunity to be here again, for you to reconsider this again. And, you know, we've talked a lot about this specific issue. I don't think we need to go back into the history of it, but I will say, after the last meeting, we met with the engineers, and we discovered that there were still a few very significant things that we could do to even further minimize the wetland impact to this, what we think is a pretty important entrance, but if that's not the will of council, then we won't try any further, because this, we really put our nose on the paper and really got granular with this. And so if you'll bear with me, and feel free to ask any questions you want, but let's go to this first slide, just so that you can remember the specifics.
Excuse me just a minute.
Yes, sir.
Nate, you want to turn the televisions on? Thank you.
It's all good. We all set?
We're good.
Okay. So this is our previous iteration. I think this is our third iteration of this plan. And you can see how there's a boulevard entrance. By this time, we had narrowed the boulevard and swung the road, and we had proposed two 48-inch culverts for water equalization.